Ring, ring! Thank you for calling ESPN, the worldwide leader in woke. This is Barry Non-Binary. How may I direct your call? Transfer me to extinction, please. I'm sorry, sir, or ma'am. We have no one here by that name. I also apologize for my oversight in forgetting to ask for your proper pronouns. May I ask, who is extinction? It's what your network will be within the next 7 years. Oh, the woke cemetery. The woke cemetery is filling up fast at ESPN. The Undertaker has run out of burial plots. The heavy equipment used to dig up holes, it is officially broken. It was either overworked from all the digging, or the damn thing just gave up trying to chauffeur the Lizzo around. Either way, employees at the woke cemetery, they are begging ESPN to stop. It has been a tough week for leaders at Woke United Methodist. Their hero, Donnie Lemon, now a fallen hero. Disney's scheduled to lay off over 7,000 employees. Good portion of that number will be coming from ESPN, where several hundred people working behind the scenes have already been given the coordinates of their burial plots in the woke cemetery. According to the New York Post, these are the normal people working at ESPN. The wanker spankers, they are still waiting to hear their fate. Now, I hate to see anyone lose their jobs. I really do feel for the people behind the scenes. As an on-air talent, though, I don't understand why you would choose to work at ESPN. I understand working there as a behind-the-scenes staffer, but if you have the talent to be on the air, why in the hell would you work at ESPN? Why in the hell would you work for any major media company? Earlier this week, or it might have been last week, but I think it was earlier this week, I was speaking with someone in the media. We've had conversations in the past about how I should be working for a major media company. My answer's always been the same. No, absolutely not. Monday morning, when news broke about Don Lemon, Tucker Carlson, along with the layoffs at ESPN, he sent me an email saying, I understand now. I get what you're saying. You've got the perfect platform. You have no constraints. You choose your own topics. All these people are losing their jobs. You're getting paid to talk about it. So far, one of the divisions hit the hardest by these layoffs at ESPN, ESPN Radio. Headline at God-awful announcing. ESPN Radio is on life support. No shit? If God-awful announcing did their due diligence and watched this channel with any regularity, they would have known ESPN Radio was on life support 2 years ago. We have discussed the decline of ESPN Radio countless times here on the channel. This week, multiple executives at ESPN's radio division were let go, along with other staffers. Now, to be honest with you, I'm actually somewhat surprised ESPN didn't just shut down the radio division altogether. Their ratings are absolutely embarrassing. Michael Kay is always dominated by WFAN in New York City. ESPN Radio in Chicago barely ranks in the top 20. Don't even get me started on the pathetic performance in Los Angeles, where they're almost outside the top 40. 30 years ago, it was impressive to make Casey Kasem's weekly top 40. When it comes to local ratings in radio, that kind of ranking qualifies you for huge embarrassing failure. But KC, ESPN Radio is struggling because ESPN is focused on podcasting. That's where they're successful. Oh, really? 3 years ago, I would agree with you. Back then, ESPN was constantly bragging about the success of their podcasting platform. 2020 was a record year. Downloads grew over 30%. We had almost 500 million downloads. Of course, none of those belong to Bomani Jones. Today, ESPN's podcast data unknown. Why? Well, they don't report it, which tells me it ain't good. It should come as no surprise that ESPN is struggling with radio and podcasting. They don't have any stars. All of their stars were either included in past layoffs or left to get the hell away from the filth. 3 of the biggest stars in sports podcasting today, Dan Le Batard, Ryan Russillo, Bill Simmons, all former stars at ESPN who are now kicking their ass. Now, to be fair, sports radio has been hit hard across the board. Podcasting is absolutely destroying the sports radio industry. The only major company doing well in sports radio is Fox. I wonder why. They've got the stars. ESPN Radio, it is not the only division in decline. Over the last decade, the entire network has been in decline. Since 2013, ESPN has been forced to lay off employees every 2 years. And it's not like these layoffs are small. We're talking about a decent percentage of their workforce, hundreds of employees. Earlier this morning, Andrew Marchand from the New York Post, he dedicated his almost his entire podcast to the ESPN layoffs. He revealed a couple of things that I found interesting. I'm going to play both of these clips back to back. The first clip, he's talking about the internal changes over the last 10 years at ESPN. Now, he doesn't come out and say it, but I'm going to go ahead and translate it for you. When he says internal changes, he's talking about the infection of the woke fungus. The focus of the second clip is talking about the morale at ESPN amongst employees. According to the New York Post, morale at ESPN at an all-time low. Well, no shit. I would imagine morale is low when people wake up every morning wondering if their key card is going to get them in the front door. There are two reasons I believe morale at ESPN is at record lows. I'll explain it after these clips. Roll the film.
Pretend like the guts of the place hasn't changed over the last 10 years, but it has. It was a place that was never affected by this stuff, and now it's the place where you kind of expect it. And that's a huge difference in terms of how it's viewed, and it says something about the overall company.
I also want to just talk about the morale in Bristol and among ESPNers. It is as low as any time I've ever seen. And I really question the strategy of doing these layoffs in three phases. There is, of course, phase one that only affected Disney. Phase two is happening this week, and it's really affecting a lot of people that work at ESPN. Phase three is coming at the beginning of the summer, probably June. It's going to affect even more people. And then there's sort of a little talked about fourth phase. It's going to be a prolonged phase where it's going to involve the talent. It makes it a really difficult place to work when you don't know. When you let go of people like Soltis or Russell Wolf, you don't know if that's going to go and affect you. And it makes it the morale there is as low as I've ever seen.
Okay, let's get into why morale is at record lows. If you were running a company and financial circumstances force you into a layoff, who are you looking to cut? How are you going to determine who keeps their job, who gets let go? I would imagine most smart business people, they're going to base it on merit. If you have a high character, highly productive employee, are you going to let him go over the identifier who checks plenty of woke boxes but is completely useless? Most people are going to say no. Not at ESPN though. No. Or in this case, I guess I should say, yes. According to the New York Post, merit is often not taken into consideration when ESPN makes these decisions. Now, this is just speculation on my part, but it's educated speculation based on recent history. If I had to guess, ESPN is making these decisions based on diversity, equity, and inclusion, which leads me to my second point. Morale at ESPN at record lows. I have said this 1,000 times. The woke fungus has one purpose: destruction. It destroys everything it touches. You can make a strong case. No other mainstream media company has been infected by the woke fungus worse than ESPN. Just imagine for a second, you're working at ESPN. Not only do you go to work every day wondering if you still have a job, you also have to watch what you do and say. God forbid one of the many worshipers of the woke oak tree sees you pull into the parking lot in a diesel. They'll report you to HR, accuse you of being a climate racist. Don't even think about calling out someone like Reverend Jalen Rose or Brother Stephen A. Smith. If you do that, being accused of discriminating against Mother Earth will be the least of your worries. Maybe one day you'll walk into the women's bathroom. Once you're inside, you're blessed with the sight of transitioning Tom standing there relieving himself. Like most normal women, you file a complaint with HR saying Tom using the wrong bathroom. Does Tom get written up? Are you out of your mind? Tom has chosen to identify as a woman today. We are writing you up for being transphobic. Do you think, seriously, do you think any of this could be the cause of low morale at ESPN? I'll tell you another reason ESPN is laying off employees. Later this year, I think it's in November, ESPN will publicly release their financial records for the first time. Up until now, they've always been included with the numbers from Disney. Executives at ESPN, they want to paint a nice looking picture with the first report. In order to do that, you need to show high levels of profitability. In order to be profitable, you need to cut cost. What's one of the most effective ways to cut cost? Get rid of people. Although layoffs are often perceived as negative, they can actually be a good thing for a business. Recently, my girlfriend's company let go, I think it was 8, maybe 10% of their workforce. Initially, everyone left working there was shocked. They were all worried about their own jobs. But it ended up being a blessing because the company let go of the right people. They let go of people who weren't productive, who were collecting money for converting oxygen to carbon dioxide. Layoffs can be effective if the right people are let go. Will ESPN let the right people go? Yeah, right. You already know the answer. My stance has not changed. ESPN is in trouble. I don't think they're in financial trouble yet, but I do still believe ESPN will cease to exist by 2030. ESPN is in the business of entertainment, which is a business that is 100% reliant on star power. Outside of Stephen A. Smith, who is the star at ESPN? Who's the other household name? Hell, who's even on deck that is capable of becoming a star? This network hasn't created a star in 10 years. They thought Bomani Jones was going to be a star. Failure. They thought Katie Nolan was going to be a star. Failure. They thought Maria Taylor was going to be a star. Ghosted. If you have any name recognition, why would you want to work at ESPN? I know they're going hard after Pat McAfee. I'm not too familiar with the potential deal, but if he moves his show to ESPN, I think that would be a huge mistake. You don't need ESPN anymore to have influence. You don't need them anymore to make money. It's going to be interesting to see who is included in the next round of layoffs. The next round consists of on-air talent. I have a feeling who's going to be let go. I guess I should say I have a strong feeling of the type of people who will be let go. What about you? In terms of on-air talent, who is ESPN going to let go? Also, why do you think morale is at record lows? Sound off at the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.